Hi there guys, my name's DANn and welcome back to my video. We'll continue watching this very interesting documentary someone put together where we have flat earthers versus scientists in a big brawl trying to decide is the world flat or is it round. Let's get straight back into it. Just going out to a beach or something like that, I think I was on a kayak. I got in my kayak and I looked at the gigantic cargo ship that was in the port, and I looked at its level of the water on the vessel and took a photograph of it. I forgot about it and paddled away, and about 40 minutes later, when I'd paddled several kilometers down the coastline in South Australia, I turned back around and looked at the ship in the dock, and I was amazed, scratching my head like, oh wow, is that the curvature of the planet? Because I can still see the ship, but it looks like some of the bottom of the ship has kind of been swallowed. So I kept blinking and looking closer, and I'm like, you could hardly see any of this blue hole above the water, but still plenty of the cargo boxes. So I thought, that's got to be the curvature of the planet.
Probably a dozen times, and I can guarantee you that there is no curvature over distance.
The internet has played an important role in confirming my view of this topic.
That's the problem.
Yeah, that's one of the disappointing things about why today it's so easy to have flat earthers generated instantaneously from nowhere these days. Because everyone like me, any average Joe, can put videos of their personal beliefs and stuff on YouTube, and everything that I've just said could all be false. And there could be some person out there that believes it and just doesn't wish to look anywhere else. They've heard enough and they'll just believe whatever I say.
We have the advantage of information today that's outside of channels 2, 4, and 7 and the few networks that are corporately owned. It's pretty easy to say YouTube isn't research, but when you spend enough time, you're picking up quite a bit. And with the discussion groups, panels, we've gone against opposition, we've opposed ourselves. Surprisingly enough, flat Earth is its own worst enemy. So it's not that easy for us to come to consensus. And we find that consensus is orchestrated and not actually scientific in any way.
You know, my grandfather used to tell me growing up, never believe anything you read in the newspaper, right? He told that to me. Now, with the age of the internet, it's like, you know, how much of this misinformation are you getting there? And when you have like eyewitnesses taking video of something, you do have to take everything with a grain of salt. That's why, because of my my multimedia background, I knew that all that stuff could be faked. You know, take it into Photoshop, take it into After Effects.
If one flat earther watches my video, no matter what you think about me, I beg you, please post a comment and tell me why, if the vast majority of people on the planet think that the world is round and you think it's flat, why do you want to expose yourself like that to other people and make yourself look bad? And if you do it because you think you're trying to save other people, good on you, but what are you saving them from, and what is the benefit of being a flat earther?
Okay, this is at the core of the issue of why there are so many flat earth believers out there right now. The problem is the information from someone who decides to start a website or produce a YouTube video is not reliable. When I have a toothache, I go to a dentist. When my car breaks down, I go to a mechanic. When you have questions about cosmology, you should go to an astrophysicist, you should go to a physicist, you should go to people who have spent years and years studying these ideas, not some 6-minute YouTube video. There is a percentage of people that if they saw a YouTube video that was not within their scientific chops to refute on the face of it, would believe anything out there.
One of the things I will say is NASA.gov has their own documents out there that we get to vet, which is through the Freedom of Information Act. And would you agree that NASA documents, if they're on display, that we should be able to go and research inside there?
NASA is not proving that the Earth is flat.
Well, they say it in 14 of the documents.
They give us nothing to go and look up, and they just keep telling stories and move on to the next topic as soon as you ask for proof of the first point of opinion they had. As soon as they state one fact in their heads, you ask for them to prove it, they just go on to the next one.
Read what NASA says, and you should listen to what
I
NASA
would
says.
love to see your NASA evidence that the Earth is
It's
flat.
only their contradictory issues
Okay,
that
let's
bring
see.
us here.
We're all familiar with the Earthrise photo, right? The Earth is rising over the moon. We're all familiar with it. That's NASA. You can go out to NASA's site. You can download the original, right?
I already know what you're going to ask.
So you bring up the luminance on it, and you can see where it's cut out and pasted there.
They're showing us doctored images that are clearly doctored. The blue marble is a very famous image from 1972. When you talk to the artist from NASA, his name is Robert Simmons, he talks about exactly how it was created from data, and it's not a photograph whatsoever. He added
what?
clouds.
Let me explain.
He added
Hold
a
on.
highlight of the
If
sun.
you take, on your phone, most phones have that panoramic image.
I think the common sense the scientist guy is going to point out is that you say these pictures are highly edited and therefore fake, but I think the scientist guy is just going to point out what's common sense to a lot of people. The Earth is probably so big that when you're pointing a camera lens at it, trying to take photographs of it, you probably can't get the whole thing at once, and you can't get the right perspective. So I think you probably have to join lots of pictures together to be able to show the Earth. Let's see if that's something like what they're going to say.
When you do that, you're taking a series of pictures, and the phone cleverly stitches
I'm
that
just
together.
saying how it's
Hold on.
presented. It's
Hold on.
presented
He's
as a
trying to
real
talk.
So when
photograph.
NASA takes real photos and they either clean them up for color or they stitch them together so it's one large image, it doesn't mean they're CGI.
You're talking about composites.
So that's pretty much what I said.
I'm what you call a globe denier. You could even get me into a virtual construct if I can't find the borders myself.
What shape would you say you think the Earth is?
It appears to me to be a stationary plane, as opposed to the vastness of infinity of space. I would find it to be an ice plane where we have a localized sun and our environment thrives there. You know, these particular people have misled us on television. This is a brilliant opportunity to speak. We've been suppressed, censored.
We're
by
not meant to believe
mainstream-
everything people say on TV. This is another thing that bothers me about flat earthers. How are you stupid enough to think the entire planet, all these occupations, they're all paid to be fake and do fake research and fake time and hours spent working doing fake non-existent work? You know, where's your encyclopedia that proves that the world is flat? Why is all flat earth deeply hidden and talked about by people that look like they suffer from medical conditions, and everything supporting that the earth is round is all beyond belief detailed and written in an encyclopedia? Why do we ever, if a flat earth is real and the round earth is fake, why did we pick that?
Media, alternative media is just a thing of beauty for me.
I view the other side as uneducated.
I'm running.
They think they are
I'm
uneducated.
running for this.
Well, they certainly think they're educated.
And they're following quite a bit of, the university system, what we call scientism,
Right, scientists.
obviously is the belief in what's written, where we tend to be exploring in the field with physical properties, not theories of any kind. We're using actual measurements that are calculated not by our guidelines, but the guidelines of science as we know it. I can only hope they're uneducated as opposed to disingenuous.
Well, that's the other thing too, because we know that it was on a large scale, the government has been disingenuous, and they're pushing a narrative, right? So it's hard for us. I mean, I'm sure that you've met people too. It's like, look, are you haven't looked into it yet, or are you a shill? Are you part of a disinformation campaign?
I don't think you guys are uneducated. I think you're wrongly educated.
Like what he's saying, the thing I hate about flat earthers the most, but I don't hate flat earthers, if when you show them crystal clear something, piece of cake that's written in a book, and they can go out and they can test it, just like this ocean thing I talked about. I could take my son out, who possibly thinks the earth was flat one day, take him out in the boat and go, look, every single time we come out here and we go this distance away from that ship, look on your phone, on your Google Maps, how far away are we from that ship? And my son would say, Dad, we're about 6.2 kilometers away from that ship. And then I would say to my son, well, I don't know the curvature of the planet ratio, but if we go home and we look at our position on Google Maps and we see that we're 6.2 kilometers away from the ship, and we took a photograph of it, and then we come back up to it and we take another photograph of it and we see how much of the ship has been chopped away pretty accurately, that's probably going to precisely match the curvature of the planet. These people were then told those facts and they go, no, just don't believe it. That's what upsets me.
I think the problem with what I've seen in the flat earth crowd is that it's not that they're undereducated, but they, instead of looking at evidence and letting the evidence guide to where the ultimate conclusion is, they start with a conclusion and then they try to cherry pick evidence to support their pre-drawn conclusion. They cast away all the bits of evidence that actually is contrary to their beliefs.
I think that you're very well educated as well as you are, Jim.
Certainly Ali is. He's probably got the best education of all of us.
Exactly, and he paid for it too. But more and more professionals are coming on board. They're starting to question their reality. So the thing of it is once you start to really take a hard look at the evidence, and you are unafraid of just standing for the truth wherever that may lead you, then people end up becoming flat earthers.
What are you hoping to get from the discussion?
I'm hoping to be able to tell our side of the story from the inside out. So many times, flat earthers are depicted from the outside in, and I want to be able to share with others empirical data.
I don't think we're going to see one piece of your empirical data. I think we're more likely to see your potpourri in a dream catcher.
So when I was 12 years old, I went to space camp and I met Alan B. Shepard.
Oh, nice.
Yep, and I wanted to be an
amazing.
astronaut, and I wanted to be the first woman to walk the moon.
Oh.
So for me, I'm a glober. I went into this completely wanting it to be true. And my husband told me, he saw this thing about the fake moon landing. And I was like, you're absolutely crazy. There's no way that the moon landings are fake. And then in 2010, my husband was killed. And so I never really developed that until around 2014 when Flat Earth kind of came back up.
There was no lies in the moon landings whatsoever, like I believed once myself. If you hear any of this talk that some part from the documentary or something else of some part of the moon landing is fake, just grow a brain, do a little bit of research. The internet's amazing and it's quick these days, and you can find not just selective people that tell you the opposite of what you want to hear, but you can find proven tests and facts that will make you understand that all these theories about displaying how the moon landing is fake, they're not true, and they all have logical explanations. The moon landing was real.
And that little voice inside my head said, remember the fake moon landings? Remember when that was brought to my attention? And then I started really critically analyzing that. And
I would have liked to believe that the moon landing was fake and that the US was just going for something like a fear dominance during the Cold War, and that they faked the whole thing and filmed it. There's something I would have liked to believe, but it's not true.
Of studying, so that was my influence from my husband.
How many lies does it take to make a liar, right?
And being ridiculed for being inquisitive is pretty tough on us. I wouldn't say that I've changed my mind because my mind isn't set. NASA is solely designed to change my mind. It is, from its inception, from its discovery, has been a television program, it's been a space program to sell us on something that they've yet to actually show us. Show me a globe spinning with clouds and a moon, show me home, and I think I could shut up easily. I think I could shut up.
The guy was just saying, I would like to believe that the Earth is round, and why can't you just create a video showing the Earth spinning continuously for 24 hours? Well, they have, and they never stopped doing that. This space station has a non-stop, pretty much 24 playing video stream, and you can find it on the internet and you can watch it. If I paused that when it got to Australia, I'm 100% sure that those clouds and stuff displayed on their video stream would be the same as what my phone is showing me on the weather passing me, and it's raining, and I'd probably be able to see those clouds right above my state where I am live from outer space. Like, would they really go to so much effort to constantly make up a fake video, everything right down to the fake clouds where it's currently raining?
The timing of your conversions is interesting to me. 20 years ago, the flat Earth world was tiny and insignificant. Enter the advent of the internet, YouTube, online discussion groups, all these new available places where you could find information about everything.
This is true that the evidence as you looked were not robust evidence. And the sources you used, they were not reliable sources again. But my problem is that, and I like you guys that you are very skeptical, but at the same time, you are not skeptical about your belief system.
You
that
keep
should
going
have come
back.
first.
You think that that's my foundation for why I believe the Earth is flat, and I'm telling you, you're wrong.
Okay.
I have evidence that proves it's flat.
What type
or
of
proves
evidence,
it's not
yeah?
a ball.
What type of
Curvature,
evidence?
We're being misled. We're being deliberately misled by mainstream
Now,
media.
what's your evidence you're
We
thinking?
see too far. We see too far. We should not be able to see. I live in Dana Point.
Well, that's it for this week, guys. I hope some of you out there are enjoying the video that I put together. The debate these people in the video are having is quite long, so I've broken this video up into several parts. When we come back next week, the very first thing I'll get into, continuing on where we left here, is an interesting cartoon I put together of one of my personal life experiences and when I went out ocean kayaking, and how I could see that the curvature of the planet was proved to myself. And what started off as 3 tiny little islands grew together, melted together, and turned into one landmass, proving the curvature of the planet. And I didn't realize it until after it had happened. See you next week.
Action DANn, the greatest hero of them all.
If you're enjoying watching this debate, click on the link on the left for part 3. If you want to see one of my wild random outdoor adventures, click on the link on the right.